Sorry We're Booked podcast. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Lainey. And this is our first official episode of our book podcast.
Yes.
Crazy.
Lots of months worth of planning and talking and discussing, and now it's coming to fruition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very exciting. Just, this is something that we have been passionate about since we've known each other, really. Built our friendship on our love of books, and at some point we're like, let's just share it with everyone. Let's share it with the world. Let's see, meet some virtual friends, because we have a great little core group of friends from our book club, but also there's always more. There's always more to be.
It's a really cool community.
It's a really fun community. Yeah, that's how we met. That's how we fostered our relationship, and now we're taking it to you guys.
Yeah, I think the first time I actually met you was at a book club, right? You invited me to yours.
Yep. I think it was, let's see, how long y'all been married now?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
So before y'all got married, we were invited to your wedding.
Yeah.
And I remember my husband was like, okay, you're going to love it. You're going to love her. She loves books. I'm like, is that the only thing that qualifies a friendship for me? He's like, yes, at this point in your life, yes. And so he gave me your information, and he was like, reach out to her. You're going to love her. She loves reading books. And her fiance at the time works with me. I'm like, okay, not me, my husband. I'm like, okay. And I never got around to it because, life. But then we went to your wedding, and I got to meet you in person. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love her. And so I immediately messaged you after
I remember
the honeymoon and everything. I was like, hey, I love your wedding. It was beautiful. Jason told me you like reading. You want to be friends?
Come to my book club.
Yeah, come to my book club.
And I was so nervous. But y'all were all so sweet, which made it so much easier to go into. Because y'all have known each other for, 8 years?
Yes. Yeah, we've been together since 2016,
That's
I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, our first book club was in November 2016. And then we started January 2017, actually meeting regularly.
That's
so
awesome.
At this point, we're about 8-9 years. And you came into it 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like you never weren't there.
Aww.
I don't remember the years before you, because you're just such an active part of it. And we have this great community of others, and we just love it. And so, we invited you in, and you fit in beautifully.
I think growing up, I always thought of book clubs as a very, I don't want to say pretentious, but you would go and talk about the themes of the book and, all the literary insights, which is great if that's your cup of tea, because I know that was your major in college, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're like, that's right up my alley, but that always intimidated me. And so hence why I was nervous going into it. But then when I joined, and it was just talking about what you liked, what you didn't like, who we hated in the book, who we liked in the book.
Yes.
Scenes that made us uncomfortable, scenes that we liked. It was very real and authentic. And it was like, these are my people.
Yes.
This is what I've been waiting for my entire life. It's just people who like to talk about books.
Yeah.
And so you're a wonderful gem of a friend and a wonderful mentor in general. So when you asked, I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. So I think that's how it all got created,
Yeah. And then everything's kind of gone from there. I think we tend to have very similar tastes in books, but I also love it because I feel like the true foundation of a good book friend, as well as just a friend in general, is sometimes you're like, I love this book. I'm like, girl, I couldn't get past chapter 3. And then other times we both will gush over the same books. I love that we can have different views on a same book, but then also come together and still have a good discussion on it. Because sometimes in our book club, we could not disagree more, but then it's but we still had a good time, And I think that's the same thing we want to bring to this is, not everyone's always going to agree with our opinions, our thoughts, but that's what the beauty of this all is. It's just for the love of reading. It truly is the love of reading.
I love that.
And so, that's kind of what
Should
we
that
did.
be our slogan?
Right?
For the love of reading?
I love that. Sorry, we're booked just for the love of reading. Get away from me. It sounds almost aggressive. For the love of reading.
It's our new slur for our husbands.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
They're watching this back.
Oh, I would love that. But so that was our idea behind the podcast is, I think we both have an extensive history with reading. That's, like you said, that's something I went to college for. I got my degree in literary studies. I do love sometimes the in-depth analysis of books, but at the end of the day, I just love me a good, romantasy.
Yeah.
It gets me away from this world. I just love, one of my favorite quotes, I always forget who said it, but my favorite quote is, I have lived thousands of lives because of reading. And that's why I
I
love
love
it,
that.
is what I don't get to experience in the real world, I experience in reading. And
Yeah.
so, that's kind of where we started. I mean, gosh, I don't even remember. I honestly can't remember the first book that really got me into the love of reading. I think my first core memory I have is my mom introducing me to Harry Potter. And I always thought it was the coolest thing because when Harry Potter came out, I was the same age as Harry Potter, even though it was set like 10 years
That's
prior.
awesome.
So when the first book came out and he was 11, I was 11.
That's awesome.
And so I distinctly remember going to every midnight release with my mom, having my own wand and everything. I mean, like, that got me in hooked. And my mom always tells me when we used to go out to eat a lot, she was like, this was before iPhones, before iPads. She was like, you always had a book. You would get headaches in the car because you would not put the book down for reading. So that's kind of the first core memory I have. Like, I can't remember any book prior to that, but what about you? How did you start?
Well, I was going to say that was awesome story about how reading is not only just like reading, it's an experience, and it goes into every facet of life where, like you were saying, going to midnight premieres, dressing up. I feel like book nerds get such a weird stereotype sometimes, but like when you get involved with it like that, then it's such a wonderful, beautiful thing. But I was homeschooled for about half of my life, and so my mom was awesome when it came to reading to us and helping us read and stuff like that. So the first thing that stuck out to me when we were talking about this was Chronicles of Narnia. That was that was my Harry Potter per se.
Yes.
And I distinctly remember my mom reading it to us, and the first book she bought Turkish delights for us to eat while we read. And I mean, she was awesome. We would read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and she would buy like Wonka candy bars with the golden tickets in it. Like, it was just an immersive thing. So kind of like Harry Potter with you, like, it's just so much more than the book itself. It's the story, it's the characters, it's a way to escape, and it's a way to comfort yourself. It's a way to live so many lives, like you were saying. But yeah, Chronicles of Narnia, and then the movies were done so well too. So kind of like, because you're a little bit older than I am, but the movies came out. I was about the same age as Lucy when Chronicles of Narnia, the movies were coming out, and I remember having the hugest crush on. Who am I gonna say?
Is it? No, it's not Peter, is it?
Peter, and then Prince Cassian.
Oh, okay.
I said Cassian from ACOTAR. Caspian, right?
Yeah,
Caspian.
Look, they all start to blur together. I'm
and
not
now
gonna
I'm
lie.
questioning myself.
I am
Prince
too.
Caspian. Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Can't be Cassian.
No. It's funny how that jumps into the future.
I'm telling you.
But golly, like, I feel like you went to school to read and learn how to read, and you know your stuff when it comes to literature, and so it's awesome. But I went to school for science, and so I went through a period where all I was reading was, science textbooks, and I lost my love of reading. And we're back. Sorry about that.
Technical difficulties.
That's all right. Life happens.
It does.
I think what we were talking about was falling out of love with reading.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, golly, I feel like all I was reading was science textbooks, and I didn't want to touch a book. And then I had this weird stint with productivity where I felt like the books that I needed to read were self-help books.
Yeah.
And how to maximize your life, and which are all great, in their season. But I missed, stories and getting immersed in worlds. And it wasn't until, I'm going to sound so stereotypical, Miss Sarah J. Maas came along, and I got involved with ACOTAR. And I will say this, it was a little bit before the TikTok wave.
Yes, yeah.
A couple 6 months or maybe a year or something like that. I started reading them because I remember talking to people. Now you talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, I've read ACOTAR. Yeah. But back then I would say you need to read ACOTAR. So a lot of people hadn't. But gosh, it was just like my eyes were open again to the world of reading and, what it brings to you and all the emotions that come with it. And people can hate on her, people can love her, but gosh, I thank her to the day I die, because if it weren't for her, I would not be reading, honestly, right now. So
I feel like that's all it takes is one really good book to get you out of your slump. Because
absolutely.
you know, I did go to college for that. I loved it, and it was so extensive, and it like I got burned out pretty quickly from it after 4 years of that. And I even wanted to go on to get my master's to teach. I wanted to go into AP English for high school seniors. Like that was my goal, and then I just got really burned out. And then it was years. I don't think I touched a book for years. That wasn't maybe 1 or 2 books a year at most.
That wasn't for fun.
Like truly. I mean, I went through a huge phase where I didn't want to read it all. And I specifically remember the books that brought me out of my slump. I read a book called Bringing Down the Duke, which was kind of a bit of a, if I remember, like kind of a Pride and Prejudice-esque kind of book.
I like it.
Regency era. And then after that, it was an Allie Hazelwood book. What was it? What was the first one of hers?
Love Hypothesis.
Yes. Okay, so I read those back to back, and I'm like, I'm in. Like, I'm back, baby. And then I'm back. And then immediately after that is when I got into ACOTAR.
Yes.
And so, like, I remember distinctly having the best January. I think this was maybe only 2023. Like, even though I was in book club for years, I did it because I'm like, oh, I miss reading. But this was when I was eating it
Head
up.
in.
Yeah, I'm like, we're
Can't
back.
get
We're
enough.
back. Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember it was the best January, and then February and March. So I did Bringing Down the Duke. I did Love Hypothesis, and then I did all of ACOTAR, and then everything was like,
Now
I mean,
what?
come on, nothing's worthy at that point. And so that's but I love it because then, you know, you wait long enough and something else comes around. And that's what I love about reading is it's just so full circle all the time. Like you're talking about Chronicles of Narnia, and we're getting our main male characters mixed up because we're like, that's 20 years later, 10 years later. But that's what's so cool
It's
about it.
the same heartthrob.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
You're just like, he's just a little bit more bad now, and it's fine. I don't know what that says about me, but it's fine. I like my men a little toxic on the pages, not in real life.
Well, that brings us to the next question.
Yeah.
Tropes.
Yeah. Ooh.
What do we like?
Girl.
What do we dislike?
Girl, you know.
Yeah.
You know I'm here for that enemies to lovers.
Amen. Amen, sister.
I love a good ETL. Like, ooh.
But it can't be done without... I've noticed that without substantial banter,
Yes.
it falls flat.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Preach.
If it's just I hate you because I hate you,
Yeah.
okay.
Cool.
I mean, that's fine. But if it's I hate you, but I'm gonna flirt with you, and you're gonna be confused about it, and you're gonna wonder what's going on in my head,
I need
I eat it up.
tension.
I eat it up.
I need tension. I need to feel it in the air before I'm invested.
Amen.
Otherwise, I'm like, you're just a bully at that
Yeah.
point, not even a good at it. You
Yeah.
know, like be a good bully if you're going to be one. Come on. But yeah, that's hands down number one trope of mine.
Yep.
Hands down, bar none.
Yep.
What about you?
Oh gosh, I love a good forced proximity. I love an arranged marriage. I love it when they don't. But it goes back to enemies to lovers. I mean, that's what I'll hang my hat on at the end of the day.
Yep.
But where they have to hang out with each other, or I mean, golly, Fourth Wing, where they have to hang out with each other. It's the enemies to lovers. And golly, I mean, with tropes that we like comes the ones that we dislike. I don't know about you, but when they get together within like their first 100 pages, what are we doing here?
No.
You know, you gotta yearn.
Yes.
You
I can't
gotta
stand
want.
like insta love. I mean, insta lust, totally different. Insta love, I'm like, you don't know what you don't know yet. No,
exactly.
no,
And then
childish.
then the whole like conflict is them just miscommunicating or fighting the entire book, but then they end up getting back together at the end.
Okay.
What?
Miscommunication's mine.
No.
Hands down. Nope. I hate it. Because in this day and age, like, come on, send her a text. Don't be
Yeah.
like, come on. I think it can be done well.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, it's not. Because at the end of the day, you have spent 80% of this book, a beautiful lead up to this moment, and then all of a sudden you have a miscommunication and it cuts back everything. I'm like, no.
Yeah, obviously y'all weren't that in love.
Yes,
if
yes.
that's what it takes to crumple your love story.
Send a text or send an owl. I don't know, whatever this.
Now,
I mean, come on,
Harry
it's
Potter.
practical.
That's
Harry
your
Potter. That's my jam.
Yeah.
But I'm like, come on, it's really hard for that to
Yeah.
land well for me.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
miscommunication is my number one. I think what was the other one? Like, pregnancy tropes. I don't love that when it's like what am I trying to think? Like accidental pregnancy, and
Yeah.
that forces them together. I'm like,
When she wakes up and she's nauseous, and
yeah,
you're like, oh
oh
boy,
gosh,
here
like,
we are.
yeah. Again, could it be done well? Yes. Do I have a book in mind that has done it well? No.
Yeah.
So if you have one,
You know
let
what
me
the
know.
OG was?
Who? What?
The OG pregnancy trope?
No.
Twilight, baby.
Oh.
Remember that?
You know, I have not read
On
Twilight.
the
I need to
honeymoon.
reread it because
I've watched the movies. I can't even gasp like I'm offended over this. I've listened to the first book and watched the movies, and that's all I'll say.
look, I was
But-
all up in it when I was
Yeah.
13. Should I have been
When
reading
it
it? No. But did I? Yes. But now I just started rewatching the movie.
Oh my gosh.
And I love it because you can tell the actors don't even like it.
No.
They don't even like acting in the movie. You're like, come on, y'all. But again, it was on that train of that was when kind of everything was coming out, like the Divergent
Yeah.
series. Harry Potter was wrapping up. Like this is when we
Yeah.
were starting to get into that dystopian.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hunger
yes.
Games.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
that done well.
Yep. So done well.
I love. Sorry, total tangent. I love the Hunger Games, how she did it well, because one thing that author has stood on is how she didn't feel the need to put in any steamy scenes,
I
like
love
at
that.
all. Because one, they're children.
Yep.
Like, but two, she felt like you could still build a great relationship without that.
Yep.
Now, all that to say, I love a good steamy.
Yep.
Love it, love it, love it. I am not against it in any way, shape, or form. But I think it could be done well. Like,
Yeah.
I think both can
Well, and
be
it's
done well.
age appropriate, right? Hunger Games
yes.
is meant for middle schoolers, while let's say ACOTAR, I would say definitely in your
Yeah.
20s for
Yeah.
sure.
That's why
at least
sometimes-
18 above.
Sometimes I do get a little bit of that weirdness of like with Fourth Wing, because I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
The 18, 19, 20
Yeah.
year olds, I'm like, where's my late 20s,
Yeah.
early 30s girls? Like, where are we at? Because we need representation too. And I do have a hard time sometimes with that. But it is funny how I can completely throw out the window a 500-year age gap. That's fine. That's realistic.
We won't talk about that.
Yeah. Like a 50-year, 20-year, but like 500? All right. That's
It
game.
almost gets to the point where it's like, okay, you're so much older that it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm like, you've lived a couple.
You're just ancient.
OG, Twilight.
Yep.
I don't even
Man.
know how old Edward was.
She really set the stage
She
for all the
did.
tropes. Maybe we
The
should
good
be giving
and
her
bad.
yeah, give
We
her
need
more
to do
credit.
one. We should do a Twilight reread.
That would be hilarious.
Good-
That's actually a
rage,
fantastic
a good
idea.
rage read every now and then.
Yes.
It's just kind of like, I'm just going to read it just to say I did.
And then we were talking about this earlier. Pettily rated on Goodreads.
Yeah.
1
I need to get back into my 13-year-old mindset.
1 star.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say those are my top
Tropes.
tropes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like ETL, love it. Forced proximity, love it. Like, I love a good workplace.
Ooh.
Like, again,
yeah.
love hypothesis.
Yep.
Beautiful. But yeah, I don't love miscommunication. Like, hands down, we read a book on miscommunication, you already know
Yep.
I'm going to come in fired up. You
Yep.
already know it. So, yeah, that's it for me, trope-wise.
Genre, I mean, I feel like we're the same on this.
Yeah.
Romantasy. Is
Yes,
that, yeah.
number one, hands
Yeah.
down. Like, I think all of us collectively are in it. I mean, I'm sure if you're here, that's one of the genres you like. Yeah, so, and I can break it down anyway. Fantasy, romance, romantasy, good. Like,
Yeah.
those are my top three.
I like it.
I mean, there's a time and place for self-help. Like, I do like a good self-help book every now and then, but 99.9% of the time, I'm probably sticking to those.
Yeah.
We do some horrors though. We do some mysteries.
We've done some
suspense.
thrillers. Yep.
You
I
like
will-
some good ones, don't you?
I will say this, and it's kind of your mode of consumption, but like I love to listen to thrillers when I'm driving because I spend a lot of time in the car.
Yeah.
It's like almost like a puzzle for my mind while I'm driving, and it helps
Gotcha.
distract my boredom. But I love to listen to thrillers. But yeah, golly, romantasy is number one by
Yeah.
far, and then probably fantasy, and then I love a good sci-fi.
Really?
I like sci-fi a lot.
Okay.
Like Project Hail Mary, Dark
I know about
Matter.
that. Yeah, I need to read those.
Oh, you haven't read those?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Here's my
I
advice to
know.
you and the listeners. It's like that Pedro Pascal meme.
Yes.
You should know this too. The Audible of
Yeah.
Project Hail Mary is fantastic.
All right, down.
I
I'm
read
game.
it and then I re-listened to it or reread it by listening to it, and it was hands down the
Really?
best experience.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
You
what
know,
I would recommend.
That kind of goes into the next line I was going to ask is, what is your preferred mode of consumption for reading?
I think it depends on the genre.
Really?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
What are you like?
Weird.
Yeah,
it
it
is
is
weird. Sorry, it's a you thing. No. I think for me, it's means of convenience more than anything. Yeah. Like when we have a book coming up for book club or something, it's whatever I can get my hands on first. I don't care.
Yep.
Now I also drive a lot for work, and so I mean, obviously, I have to do audiobook on the way
Yeah.
there. But for me, when I'm reading, I'll always go to Kindle more than physical. I love a good physical book, but again, means of convenience. My library app, like
It's
the
all
number
there.
one thing I will stand on a soapbox every given day is, if you don't have a Libby account, what are you doing? Because it's free, and
Yeah.
that's how I get all my books. So for me, Kindle is going to be number one. Audiobook is going to be number two because of convenience.
Yeah.
And then physical, when I got the funds, I will get a physical book. 9 times out of 10, I don't. So, those are like kind of my
That's
rankings
good.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, genre, I will say I'm the opposite. Thriller is hard for me to listen to
Really?
because I get scared at night. I'm scared.
You're so cute.
Like I can read that because I don't feel like,
It's in your head.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but like Verity, I read that, thank goodness, because if I had listened to it, I think I would have been kept up at night. Like there's certain things that
That's a spooky one.
yeah. So that's different for me. It's funny though, but
I don't think I've ever listened to it at night though. So I think
Oh.
I have to have the boundaries to not.
that's true.
But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Where like if you're listening to that and then it's dark and our husbands are not home.
yeah. Well, that's the season we're in Texas.
Yeah.
It's dark until 6 a.m. and it's dark at 5:30 p.m. right now. So it's like I'm going to work in the dark sometimes. I'm coming home in the dark, and if I'm listening to scary,
Yep.
I get
Yeah.
the willies. So yeah,
I don't
that's
blame you one bit.
yeah. What's yours?
I would say, man, I'm an OG classic physical copy, but I will say to save on money, we love going to half price books.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
Michael and I's favorite little date night is there's a movie theater, our favorite restaurant, and a half price book
So cute.
in the same shopping center. And so we'll hit bookstore, restaurant, and then movies.
Oh,
And so, you can obviously get books for half the price and you
Yeah.
feel like you're being more sustainable and stuff like that. So I would say physical copy, then probably audiobooks, and then Kindle. I think you were the one who introduced me to
Yes,
Libby.
I did.
And so that's wonderful.
And Kindle. I was like, where
Yes.
are you? Get
What am I
one.
doing? And it's so good for traveling.
Yes.
That's where I really appreciate it, is that you're not lugging around 6-7 books.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
it all right there. So I will say for like genres though, I love to have physical copies of fantasies and
Yes.
romances and stuff like that. But for little romances, I'm okay with getting those on my Kindle.
That makes
Because
sense.
it's like,
Yeah.
not that they don't have much to them, but they're a lot more lighthearted and usually meant for a palate cleanser or something like that. So
Makes
might
sense.
as well get it on Libby, get it on the Kindle,
Yeah.
and then, invest in the books
Yeah.
that you want to have copies
No, I
in.
get that. Actually, that does kind of get me to another point where part of the reason I love my Kindle so much is because I read so much fan fiction. And
Oh
that's the
my
only way you
gosh.
get it. I mean, you can get it on your iPad and iPhone, but I
That
send
should
it
be
straight
your-
to Kindle.
That should be your number
Yes.
one genre.
It is. It's not fan fiction. It has to be Dramini. So shout out to my Dramini girls, because
What is it? Dramatmobile?
Dramatmobile.
I butcher it every time.
Yes, it's Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love. It's, if you haven't read it, go now. It's Draco and Hermione, and if that doesn't
She
make sense,
loves that
okay,
fanfic.
but it's your fault. It's your fault. You introduced me to it.
And I've created a monster.
You have created a monster. You've awakened the beast.
I watch you on Goodreads.
No,
I'm gonna call you out right now. And I'm like, it's
it's getting
Jessica
hot
reading.
here.
And it's always the same
so
thing.
good. It's the same two idiots falling in love. I love it. And they're enemies to lovers, and they're the bad boy.
Here's my one question for you. Not that Tom Felton isn't a good-looking guy. Do you picture somebody else? Or is that Draco to you and you're like, that's Draco and I'm
No.
fine with it?
think it's Tom Felton. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Tom Felton.
It's okay. It's like very specific Tom Felton version of him where he was like, oh, what was it? Maybe it was book 6 or something where he's starting to change into like a bad boy more so, like
More
not
of a
just a
man.
jerk. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, in the movies, he's like 17, 18. So I somehow like AI him to be that version of him, but like 30. So that way I don't have to, because it's weird. No, I think for me, what's really interesting is when I read, I actually have a very hard time visualizing things. I don't know. Some people, when they read, they have a movie playing in their head.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. That's not me. It's really hard for me to grasp like a visual.
Yeah.
And so they're just blank faces in my mind. So I think if I were to think about it, it would be Tom Felton, but at the same time, I don't even think
It's
about
just a
it.
character.
It's just in my head. And so
That's so interesting.
But yeah, that's probably like
That's your
80% of my Kindle right now.
And I love that for
I
you.
love it. And you know what's sad? You know what's really sad? You introduced that to me this year. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like it's always been a part of me.
It's been a journey.
I think it was like January of this year. You're like, hey, have you
Read Manacled?
read Manacled? I'm like, who is that? What is that? And you're like, it's fan fiction. I'm like, well, what's fan fiction? Somehow I missed that whole train. Like, with as much as I read, that was a big thing growing up. Apparently, like
The Wattpad.
Yes.
I wasn't involved with that either.
I never did, which is so funny because now I'm in it. I'm on AO3. If you don't know what that is, AO3. That's where you can get all fan fiction for free. Don't sell it because it's legal. I just have to. But no, yeah, you were like, have you read this? And I said, no, never heard of it. And I started reading it. And I think I remember telling you like, hey, it's too dark for me right now. I'm not in a good place for that. That's fine. So then I got to my Domatmobile, Dragomo. Boy.
I read that one. It's fantastic. It really is. And for the readers or the watchers who are readers, but it's very well done.
Yeah.
It's fan fiction. It's written by a fan, but I mean, golly.
Well, she's actually, fun fact. She's becoming a published author now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Same with Manacled.
I believe that.
Well, I finally did read that eventually when I was in a better headspace.
Yeah.
So they're turning these, not these fan fictions, but they're becoming published authors because that's the thing is like fan fiction is, it can be so well written that you're like, man, I have read published authors who don't write as well as a fan writer. And I know they do that for fun and now they're coming from their heart, but I'm like, girl, get yourself a contract because beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, all that to say my tangent. 1, if you haven't read fan fiction, do it. But 2, like that's why I think I read my Kindle as much as I do. And so if you follow me on Goodreads, don't judge me. We're in a judgment-free zone.
Judgment free.
Judgments, I don't care. My least favorite saying, don't yuck my yum.
Yes,
I
literally.
hate that saying, but don't do it. Because, I think that's what I want this to be too is
Absolutely.
it's a safe space of, I don't care what you read, just read. Like
Yeah.
it's, it's for the love of reading.
For the love of reading. Full circle.
Yeah, full circle.
We're back to it.
All that to say.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What else do we have?
Authors.
Oh,
If we could sit down with an author. I know.
okay. Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Oh, that's so hard. Okay, because like one, I mean, okay, I would love to sit down with Jane Austen. I love her.
Yep.
She's the OG. Like,
OG.
I love her, and the original enemies to lovers. Like my I almost said Draco. Oh my god,
You were on
Darcy.
It's a D. There you are.
Oh gosh. Okay.
That's hilarious.
Mr. Darcy. And
Darcy.
yeah, and Elizabeth. Like they're
Yeah.
my original enemies to lovers,
That's
and
so
done
true.
very very well. So that's my dead. I have to think of my alive. You go.
Dead, I would do. I feel like a broken record, but C.S. Lewis is probably up there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, let's go him.
Okay.
Let's go him.
C.S. Lewis. Okay.
Because
I just started
golly,
reading his
even
books.
beyond Chronicles of Narnia, just his works in general helped me through a lot of really tough times in life. So like Mere Christianity, the
Screwtape's Letters?
Yep.
Is that
Yes,
her?
ma'am.
Him?
I almost said the Scarlet Letter for whatever reason. Screwtape Letters, like his view on just the Christian worldview and how that plays into World War II. That was a very tough time when he was writing and stuff like that. I think he just has a very honest look on faith.
Yeah.
So I'd just love to sit down and pick his brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be honest.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I haven't read as much of his work, honestly,
You're
because
good.
I didn't grow up with Chronicles of Narnia, so I just started reading that I think last year. And it's something that like I want my children to read, because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I feel like it's something that when you read it, just like Harry Potter or Twilight or any of
Yeah.
those, it's like reading it as an adult, I think has a different take than it did when you're growing up in it. And so like
Absolutely.
he's someone that I want my kids to like grow up with.
That's super
See
cool.
their imagination. There's a bookstore in Waco. I don't know if you've been. There's a bookstore in Waco that has the Chronicles of Narnia closet.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's amazing. And when you go into that closet, it takes you into the children's literature section. And I think of it every time I think of Chronicles. Like they have the little fur coats that you like. I mean, fake
What
ones.
is it
but
called?
I'll have to put that in the notes.
We'll
I
have
don't
to put it in the
remember, but
notes.
I've been there multiple times.
Oh
and
my gosh.
my son hadn't even
Through
read
the
book.
wardrobe?
Through the wardrobe. He went in
Get out.
through the wardrobe and was just like amazed. And then we ended up getting him a little crown and a sword and a shield,
Oh my
and he just
gosh.
felt. And I was like, I'm invoking his love
That's
of
awesome.
literature young.
That's
You
amazing.
know, so
Mom of the Year award right there. Everybody give her the claps.
that was just what I gave to him, so I could go in my own section and get my books.
You're like shoving him in the
You're
cupboard.
like, here, have fun. No, so yeah, that's he's fantastic to get kind of into the love of literature.
That's awesome.
Alive, ooh, some tough potatoes.
I think I know mine.
Yeah,
Sarah.
yeah.
I would love to sit down with her and just be like, how did you
Yeah.
create that out of your mind? You
Well,
know?
she was pretty young with
think
Throne
so.
of Glass, right?
Yes.
Like I could be wrong. I get them confused, but like 18
I-
or
that's
20?
what I want to say too.
Yeah?
I thought it was 18. But maybe I'm thinking of
Well, I know-
Powerless.
Okay, what is it with all these writers being so young?
I
Because
know.
Hunger Games also?
Yes.
She was young? Like
That's true.
In college, I want to say, or I'm like, man, I wish I could have string two words together in my college experience. That was not the case. They're just amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Oh, she would be a good one for me too, just
Yeah.
because I also want to know spoilers.
Yep.
So if we could have her, I'm like, could you just tell me everything? And
Did
I'll
you
sign
hear-
What? No.
New Akatar 2026.
Is it really?
We're getting a new one.
Who do you think it's going to be?
Oh, it's got to be Elaine and Azriel.
Okay.
You don't think so? You're a Lucian girl, aren't you?
Oh, no.
Okay, thank God.
No, though I love a good fox because that's just my favorite little animal. But no, not him. I just don't know where that's going to end up. I don't know. Like I don't know. That's a
It
whole
can't be
other
so
story.
convenient that they all end up with every bad
because
boy.
also like there was that chemistry with oh girl, I'm mixing all my books up. Was it like a librarian or something? No,
You're thinking of Fourth Wing.
I am. Which I love her too.
This is like a totally different tangent.
Okay. Oh, another time. But yes.
Regroup.
Yes, regroup. Back to it. Circle, clean, round
Author.
circle. Thank you.
Author.
Okay. Yes. I'm excited to read that then, obviously. Can't wait. Yeah, Sarah J. Maas is up there for me. I mean, honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of fan fiction writers I
Yeah.
would totally want to talk to and just be like, you just seem fun. Can we just be friends?
Right.
You don't have to talk about your book. I just want to know you.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know, I think it takes this whole other person to write a book just because they have such a love of the original story or the characters, like
And not as an occupation.
right, like they do it in their free time. What is that? That's amazing. So yeah, I would say those are some of my top ones for sure. Abby Jimenez.
You love her.
I
You
love
love
her.
her. And you love her
I
stories.
do. I don't know what it is, but her characters just feel so relatable. Like I see
really
myself
real.
or someone I know in every book I read, and I don't think she's written a dud for me. Like I will read the novellas, I will read anything. Like anything of hers I'll read. So
I love that.
yeah, she's someone I would love. So Abby, if you ever see this, please come on our show. I love you. I love you. Not
And
in a
she
creepy
writes
way.
older characters.
She does.
You know it? They're not 17-year-old,
Yes.
being put into a war games.
Right. Like it's just they're just good. Like
Yeah.
they're emotional and good roller coasters. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I love her. I love her.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
a great one.
Yep.
I think that's all we
What else
got.
Is that all we got today?
I think.
Yeah. Well, if you've made it this long, we're really excited. Stick around. We have some really great content coming up. I mean, if you ever have any suggestions or anything like that, please let us know.
Please.
Yeah, this is new to us, so there's a lot of kinks
We're
along
learning
the
a
way.
lot. Yeah, we're learning as well.
Yeah, along with
But
us.
we're here for fun, and we're here for the community,
Yeah.
and we're here for the love of reading.
For the love of reading.
For the love of
I
reading.
don't have to say it. For the love of reading. We're here. So thank you for joining us
Thank you
with
so
Sorry
much.
We're Booked, and we'll chat soon. Bye.